Now that's the sort of welcome that you want whenever you're going anywhere. So good afternoon, my name's Pat Duckworth and I'm a cognitive hypnotherapist, I'm an author and speaker. And I just feel so privileged to be here in Delhi talking about entrepreneurship, because if there's anywhere where there are so many entrepreneurs, it has to be India. So thank you very much for letting me speak here today. And you know, becoming a midlife entrepreneur is becoming so much more common now. If you look at the statistics, 23% of entrepreneurs in the USA are 50 to 65. And if you look at the ones who are into technology, you know, the number of older people who are, when I say older, I still feel like I'm 18, so, but you know, over 50, that twice as many of them are involved in technology. And I leave you to look at those statistics about the UK, because people, not just women, women and men, are becoming midlife entrepreneurs, partly because they want to pursue their dream, partly because there may be a financial element to it, or just that who retires now? I mean, there's no need to retire anymore. When people say to me, you know, oh, when you retired from the civil service, well, I did, but you know, it wasn't to go and sit in a deck chair and read the newspapers. So we can see here the number of men and women who are becoming midlife entrepreneurs. So my story, I left school at 18, I didn't go to university. I think of myself as quite a sensible person, and I thought, oh, if I go to university, am I going to get a job? So I went straight out to work, and I actually became a chartered surveyor. I know. I am so old that at that time, 1% of chartered surveyors in the UK were women. Yeah, sure. So a charter surveyor, surveyors value properties. So we are actually looking at the value of real estate, whether it's commercial or residential. And I worked in local authorities. I was valuing property for the local authority. And I then moved into the civil service. But at the time that I became a charter surveyor, and there were 1% of women were chartered surveyors, becoming a chartered surveyor means that you are enrolled in a specific institute, the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. Their dream at the time was to have 2% membership being women. You know, it was quite extreme. So then I became a civil servant. I've always had a very strong service ethic. I wanted to serve. And so I stayed in the civil service. So I was working in central government, and I moved up through the ranks as a chartered surveyor, and then I moved into management. And I moved into, this is a secret just between us, hopefully the film won't go too far. I ended up my career working for Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. And I became an MBA when I was 51. I've always believed in you know, personal development. It's very important to me to keep learning. And from that then I decided that I ended up with a horrible boss, and I thought, you know, I've always had a dream, I've wanted to do things, and now it's my chance. And I think this is common to many women. So why do people become midlife entrepreneurs? Perhaps they've had a change in their personal relationship. Perhaps they've got married, or they've got divorced, or something has changed in their personal life. Perhaps in their financial situation, perhaps they're better off now and they can take a risk, or perhaps they actually need to earn more money. It doesn't have to be one or the other. There's lots of reasons. But I was walking to work with tears in my eyes because I was so unhappy with what I was doing. Or perhaps there's a dream, you know, there's that purpose that you've always had in the back of your mind, and you finally think, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? So I think there's lots of reasons why people become midlife entrepreneurs. So, next one, please. Oh, sorry. So these are some of the women that I've talked to about it, and they've all got their own story, from somebody who's a coach, to somebody who runs a dress shop, to my friend Kay, who will be here on Wednesday, who has gone off to live in Zanzibar and is designing and making new things out in Zanzibar. So all of these women had a different story to tell about why they made that move into becoming entrepreneurs. Thank you. The model that I've used, and I use it with a lot of my clients in hypnotherapy, is something called neurological levels. And this is based on the idea that we have a hierarchy of brain function. And if you don't use all of your brain, you're not going to make effective change. So if you just change the environment you're in, well, that's not going to change your life. If you change your behavior, things are starting to change a bit more. As you move up this, the more you deal with it, the more change you're going to get. So if you look at your purpose in life, if you have a really strong feeling of your purpose and you act on that, it's going to change everything underneath it in a way that working at the lowest level doesn't. So at your highest level, you're really moving out evidence backed up that there was a Father Christmas. But I'm going to talk to you about how beliefs can change, and so keep hold of that Father Christmas story. Thank you. So beliefs come in two flavors. There are unhelpful beliefs, and those are the limiting beliefs, the negative beliefs that we develop. So as you move into midlife, it can be, I'm too old. Women like me don't do this. It's too late. There aren't enough years left. I don't have the skills I need. I can't learn how to do that. All this IT, it's for young people. I don't do that. If I ask people for help, they'll think that I'm weak. If I don't succeed, I'll be a failure. If I set up in business and it doesn't go right, I'm a failure. If you have beliefs like that, guess what? You don't take the action, because these aren't growth beliefs. These are the sort of beliefs you run away from. Thank you. Yeah. So the next lot are helpful beliefs. So helpful beliefs, age is just a number. I have to tell you, I still feel 18. I mean, okay, it's a shock to you, but I'm not actually 18. I still feel 18, my spirit is still 18, I'm acting that out. I can be a role model for other women. That's a really strong belief. And it's a strong belief for me, because if I live my life right, other women will look at me and think, I could do what Pat does. Because, you know, Pat didn't set up in business until she was in her mid-50s. Okay, that was another shock for you all, but I'm older than my mid-50s. It's never too late. I can learn. I can ask for help. There is no failure. There is only feedback. That's an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. There is no failure. There is only feedback. If you fail, you learn from it and you move on. Okay, thank you. So the good news is you can change your beliefs. They're not set in stone. So you can start by listing out your beliefs about who you are as an entrepreneur. And you can look at the unhelpful stuff and look at the helpful stuff and find out what's holding you back. Because when I say to people, well, I only started out as an entrepreneur 6 years ago, but I've now written 4 books, I've got 5 online programs, I'm speaking in India. You know, that's a lot to do in that space of time. And if I can do it, if one person can do it, all people can do it. That's another NLP thing. So if you look at the beliefs that are holding you back, now I talked about Father Christmas, and our beliefs come from finding evidence to support the things that we believe. So while you believed there was a Father Christmas, all the evidence was there. Once somebody said to you, do you know what? And it's probably I told my brother there wasn't a Father Christmas. My mother never forgave me till the day she died. He was 4 years older than me, and I told him. But once somebody says there isn't a Father Christmas, you start to go, do you know what? How can he be all around the world in a matter of days, in one day? How does he get down the chimney when there's no chimney? There's all these things, and suddenly the evidence is there that the belief was wrong. And then you can start to change the belief. So look at any negative beliefs that you have about being an entrepreneur. They're not true, you've just looked for the evidence. If you look in the other direction for the evidence that isn't true, you will find it. Act as if a different belief is true. So you might think, oh, I'm too old. And then you think, I'm not too old, I'm young enough to do this. And for a week, just live with that, I'm young enough, I can do this. And just see how it changes your perception, because now you'll start to see that evidence that you are young enough and you can do it. Thank you. So if you'd like to know more, I'm Pat Duckworth, and this is my email. This has been really short, but when I committed to coming here, which was in November last year, I said that I would give this talk, and then I thought, do you know what? I'd love to write a book on that subject. And I have actually written the book. So that tells you you can write a book in this space of time. And it's called Hot Women Rock, because my first... well, come and see me. I've only had a few copies printed to bring out here. I'm actually going to launch it in September. But I have brought some copies out with me because I just wanted to have this opportunity to talk about it. And it goes through this model that I've just talked about, but really importantly, it has 20 stories from other women about how they changed and what they did, because I want to share that this isn't about me, this is about all these women getting to midlife and thinking, I can do something different, I can pursue my dream. And that's what I want for other women. My purpose, that thing at the top of my level now, is to inspire other women that they can be their best whatever age they are. And that runs all the way through my stick of rock.
Yeah, but back, you should spend about a minute talking about, this is theory, right? You're saying, guys, these are the steps you need to take.
Yeah.
You walk the journey. You should have spent at least a minute talking about how it worked for you. So I think that would be inspirational.
Have I got a minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the most important part.
Just while I'm here, and I only have 7 copies, see me at the end. So my story, I'm a civil servant, I've done a lot of presentations as a civil servant, and I've learned a lot of transferable skills. But what I really wanted to do was to learn about neurolinguistic programming, because I have this strong value of service, and I also have a very strong value around helping others. So I learn to share. I don't learn to keep it to myself. So before I knew I could actually leave the civil service, I'd signed up to do a 10-month course at weekends to become a neurolinguistic programming practitioner and hypnotherapist. And the universe rewarded me. It said, you've taken the first step, so here you are. And out came an early retirement scheme at work. So I was able to leave the civil service just before, well, actually as my course was starting. And so there was a sort of 3-month overlap between working and studying. And then at the end of the course, I was free. I set up in business by myself. And it's, I'm not saying it's easy. You have to have that passion, because you get obstacles. And I decided to specialize in women in midlife, because this is what I understand. And so my first book was Hot Women Call Solutions, because it was about helping women to get through menopause. And I realized that's where I felt passionate about, was so many women just kind of giving up and feeling there was no help for them. And from that, so I wrote the book, and then I wrote the book to help men that says how to survive her menopause, because the guys don't understand what's happening. And really, once I wrote the book, it opened me up to a global audience. When I was working one-to-one, just in my therapy room, I could only see one person at a time. And I live in a small village outside a small town, outside of the small city of Cambridge. Once I'd written my book and it was on Amazon, I can now reach anybody in the world. And so from there, I decided I needed an online course. Again, it's about learning and sharing. So I developed an online course, and there were 3 years of obstacles to actually getting that to market. And I got it to market this month. Thank you. I am so thrilled. It's called Mind Over Menopause, and it really just takes Mind Over Menopause. If anybody needs a book title, I'm really great on titles. But through all of that, you can see my belief in myself that I can do it, my values around learning and helping, my identity as somebody who can inspire people, and my purpose, which is around inspiring and getting women to understand that they can be their best. The environment I work in is working globally with people. I have lots of friends now in Canada and America who help me and will be promoting my book when it comes out. And my behavior is constantly looking how I live my life. Because if I turned up here and I didn't try, why would I inspire anybody? And I said to somebody a few weeks ago, if you want to be inspirational, you have to lead an inspirational life.